What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. We're back out here on the old CJ. So we got the wheels off for powder coat, but they're taking a little while. So we're going to finish up some of the smaller little miscellaneous projects that we need on this so that once we get the wheels back, we will be ready to go. Let's check it out. So I took the side steps off here. They look a little rough. That somebody put some type of like a bed liner type stuff on there, but it didn't really stick, so it's starting to come loose. So I've cleaned them up pretty good. I'm gonna hit them with the wire wheel to knock some of this rust off. We're gonna hit them with some primer and then some black paint. And then I've got some in the can bed liner that I'm gonna do this side with. And then we've got some trick little grip pads that I'm gonna cut down and put on this section here. And hopefully that'll give them a little pop, make them look good, and we'll put them back on. So I'm going to get started cleaning them up, and then we'll see how they look. All right, hit them with the wire wheel, knocked it off a little bit. It's got the Rust-Oleum, so it's not too bad. Hit it with an air chuck, knock all the dust and everything off. I'm going to spray a little on here, let this dry, flip them, do the other side, and then we'll start painting. All right, so I got a little dark before I did the second coat, so I couldn't really video that, but I laid down a good heavy coat to kind of fill in this texture that's already here, mostly just to stop the rust, right? So the primer's down, and then I've got some black, like flat black actual paint that I'm going to go down over the top of that on all of the parts that are not going to be bed lined, right? So I'm going to re-bed line this part, and then this bottom part I can't lay it down there because the paint's still wet, but I've got these grippy pad things that you get for like trailer fenders, and I'm going to lay that in that flat part right there, trim it around this corner just like that, give it a little grippy action. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then we'll lay down the black paint, and then we'll mask it off and do the, probably won't even mask it off, just shoot the bed liner on that side and then put these in. I'll need to clean up the bolts because they were a pain in the butt to get off because they're rusty and 40 years old, right? So all of the little square welded on bolts broke. So I had to use just channel locks or vice grips to hold them, but I can clean up these threads and then put them right back on. So I didn't damage any of the bolts, I just broke the little welds off, but that's not a big deal. So we'll get them put back on, get them clean, and then the rest of the list, we're gonna work on this valve cover gasket because we got, it's not so bad right now. There's a, see there's a little bit of a puddle right there, and we haven't even driven it that much, so, and that's just dripping everywhere down below, and it's the whole bottom of the engine is coated, and it's a little bit on the floor there. So we're gonna try to get that fixed. The oil cap goes along with that, and then we're going to get a fuel filter, and we're going to get some belts, and then once we get the wheels back, get them mounted up, I've got brand new lug nuts here. I've got to go get some more little, these are the screws for the center caps, so I took them off so I know what size to go get more of. And then I got some black lug nuts to go with the new wheels. Those are going to be nice. And then we go get an alignment, and then we can just drive it. At that point, I feel safe enough to just enjoy the Jeep for a while. Just kind of give it some shakedown cruises, see what works the way we want it to, what doesn't. I mean, there's still plenty more to go. We need to paint it. I want to change out all the seats for the peanut butter or the tan to match the top. It's completely missing the dash pad up here. You know, there's some things that need to be done, but I think once we get the wheels back and gets what's left on this list done, we can enjoy it for a little while. Just drive it around. It's starting to warm up now. It's springtime here in Texas. before it gets too hot. So once it gets real hot, then we'll put it back in the shop to do the other stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at on it right now. So once I get the wheels back, we'll get those knocked out. I need to go to the parts house and get the fuel filter and the belts for this weekend. I got the valve cover seal. I'm gonna actually probably paint that valve cover black and then sand these ribs back silver again, and the 4.2L, kind of give it that two-tone machine look. That's what I'm kind of going for on that. And then we'll put it back on with new seals and new hardware and a new cap that's not broke. And hopefully that'll take care of the oil leak and it won't be dripping all over my floor, but we'll see. All right, on to the next one. All right, got everything primered up. I did go back after the video last night and sanded this flat part at the bottom here smooth with just a regular sander, and then reprime that. That way that I'm going to use those step pads, and I want it to be really flat because it's just sticky on the back, and I want it to stick as well as possible. So I'm going to wipe these down, get some of this sanding crap off of them, and then we're going to hit them with this flat enamel on the back side just to seal them up, and then we'll bed line the fronts. All right, that laid down really good coverage. I like the result there. It's still a little glossy, but it's a flat black, so it'll dry flat. It's a little overcast today, so I'm going to move these back inside to let them dry, and then we'll come back out in a couple hours and hit another coat, and then that should be good for the back side, and then we'll start working on the front. All right, got a couple of coats on the back side here. It's looking real good, nice and even. So I went ahead and threw a little tape down. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just keeping this textured from getting on the flat part because this is where those pads are going to stick, and I want them to adhere as best as possible, so it needs to be nice and flat. And I'm also trying to keep the buildup from getting on the mounting surfaces, just so that everything pulls up tight. So I'm gonna start shaking, and then we'll lay down a couple of coats of this bed liner stuff and see how it looks. Once they dry, we can get them here installed. I still got to clean up the bolts though. I got to clean up the threads on the bolts, so I don't want to strip anything going back together. All right, let's keep going. All right, nice heavy coat on there. It doesn't really have the texture I expected. I guess it's not really like Herculiner or whatever. I went ahead and pulled the tape off just because I didn't want that stuff to dry and harden and then not be able to get the tape off. So it's gonna look pretty good, I think. Colors back, area for the pads there. Let these dry for a couple hours. I don't know how long this stuff takes, but we'll let it sit for quite a while, and then we'll be able to install the pads and start putting them back together. All right, so we got these things painted up. Didn't come out the best. I'm not 100% happy with it. It's got some weird discoloration, but I think it'll be fine for what it is. We're going to go ahead and get the pads laid down here, get them trimmed to fit, see how that looks, then we'll get them mounted back up once I get the bolts cleaned up, and we'll get them put on and see how they look. So basically I'm going to go like this with the pads, just kind of fit them into that corner, squared up, and then we're going to trim this end to kind of match the curve. So I got me a pencil here. I'm going to get these kind of laid out where I want them, and then we're going to make a line on the bottom of this to mark it, and then you can just cut these with some sharp scissors. We'll get them cut up and see how they fit. I'm trying to match the edge. You see how there's a little bit of an overlap, so I'm trying to make that all the way around, so I'm going to cut them a little short. So let's see how that works, and then we'll get them installed. All right, got them mounted up. Got them a little dirty just from the dirt being knocked off the Jeep, but that's all right, because once we get everything finished up, we'll do a final cleanup on this thing before we really take it out. But I got the pad installed there. The sticky, I've had these for a while. I bought them for another project and never used them, so they've been sitting in the workbench or in the toolbox for quite a while, so the sticky's not that good. I may have to go get some fresh ones, but they're cheap. And you cut them, like I said, just cut them with some scissors. Around the corner there, done. I think they look good. I like it a lot. So that'll keep those from getting rusty and kind of spruce them up a little bit. Next on the list is probably going to be this valve cover. Going to get started getting it taken off. It doesn't use all the right hardware. Like this side is just some little bolts, and then this side's got a bigger bolt, and it looks like it's got RTV on it. And then that bolt doesn't even look like it's tight back there. I don't know. That one may not even be part of the valve cover. That may be the manifold. Start loosening stuff up, see what happens. Looks like there's a little Allen key one in there. Might be one in the back. We'll figure it out. See what happens. Alright, moving on to the next project. I got the valve cover off. I know now why it was leaking. Number one, it was just a little bit of RTV. And number two, the bolts were barely even finger tight. I mean, there's like nothing there. So I've got a big nice rubber valve cover gasket to go on there after I clean this up. I just wanted to give it a little rundown. Everything looks good. Everything is, nothing's bound up or loose or anything like that, so I think that's all good. So I'm going to clean that up in the parts washer and then clean up this mate surface. It had 4 different types of bolts, so it had these, it had some Allens on the ends, and then these 2 were oddballs. So I need to get out the hardware kit that came with the new seal to see if they match, or this one both of these I'm concerned about, because if they were possibly stripped and drilled and retapped, I may have to reuse this hardware. I know where it came out from, but I prefer to use the original hardware, so we'll see, or the factory hardware. I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up, get all the black off of it so we can get it painted. We got new seals for the breathers and a new cap. The cap actually broke when I tried to pull it off, so it's a good thing we're working on this. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up real quick and then we'll check out the new hardware. All right, wire wheel, little brake clean bath. Wiped it down. I'm gonna let it sit here and kind of warm back up because that brake clean makes it cold and it kind of condensates. So once it gets back to ambient temperature, we got some engine enamel we're going to hit it with, make it nice pretty black again, and then like I said, I'm going to take wire wheel or sand or something and just go over the top of these and make them shiny again to give it that two-tone machined look. And then we will be able to reinstall it, hopefully with better seals and better hardware and no leaks. So that's next. I'm going to start shaking and then we'll come back and check it out. All right, paint's going down. I got a light coat. So the instructions say 2 light coats and then a wet coat with 10 minutes in between. So we got the first light coat down. Another 6-7 minutes. Hit it again. Another 10 minutes. And then hit it with a wet coat. Hoping I can really get into those grooves pretty good without getting it too thick and making it run. So we'll see about that. But so far so good. I love this enamel paint. It lays down so easy. It sprays good. It's got a good spray pattern. It's quick. I really like it. So hopefully this works out. All right, got all the coats down. It's not very bright over here. Not really underneath the lights, but got a little light here. Good coverage, good glossiness, not a lot of, there was a little bit of like pitting or raised parts on the aluminum. I sanded down. I was hoping it wouldn't affect the paint. Looks pretty good. Top coming out really good, nice and shiny. So I'm going to let this dry for quite a while because I'm going to be pretty mean to it, trying to sand off these ribs. I want it to be dry, not just to the touch dry. So I'll probably leave this until tomorrow and just let it ride. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it next. I've got some wire brushes, and I could chuck this up in a drill and just wire brush that, but I run the risk of it jumping off, right? The other option would be to take some sandpaper and like secure it to one of these boards, and then just flip the thing over and just drag it back and forth, you know, on the board until it's all. But then you run the risk of having spots that don't get clear. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I could probably take like a rag right now and just wipe it and get a lot of it, but I don't want to mess it up. I may try that. All right, we are ready to get this thing reinstalled. I've got the seal here, and it's kind of like a foam rubber with a hard rubber like in the middle. So I don't think it needs any sealant, but I don't have any idea how I'm going to get it to stay where it needs to be while I put it over there. So from reading online, they said use a little bit of sealant just to kind of stick it to the valve cover, and then you can flip it and set it down. So I've got some red RTV here, Permatex, whatever. So we're going to put a little bead on there so that the seal sticks to the valve cover and doesn't flop. And then once it tacks up, we'll flip it, throw it over here. I went ahead and disconnected this fuel line to get it out of the way so we can just set it right on there. Got all the bolts ready here. Got new hardware. The old hardware was trash. So we're ready to go there. I don't know torque specs. I can't find them in the book or online, so I'm just gonna snug it down until it looks like it's compressed this seal all the way and hope that that works. All right, I'm gonna get this RTV'd up. I won't be able to really record it because probably need an extra set of hands, but I'm gonna try my best. So we'll see what happens. All right, so I got the seal laid on there. I'm using this board to just kind of hold it nice and flat because it did have a little bit of a curl to it. So give it 5 minutes or so and let it get tacky. Then we'll go ahead and flip it and stick it and see what happens. All right. Got it cinched down, snugged pretty good. A little bit of bleed over from the RTV, but that's all right. I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. Both sides are down. That bolt in the back by in there. Whoa, that thing's a pain. But it's done. It's tight. New oil cap. Rubbers are back in. Breather hoses are connected. So the oil or the fuel filter will be here tomorrow or the next day, and I can get that replaced, and then that'll finish this up. I also have put this guy back on the carb. It goes that way. A little vacuum hose I had to take loose to get the valve cover off, so put that guy back on right there. There we go. All right, so replace the fuel filter, and pretty much be done. We're waiting on the wheels. I haven't showed you guys yet, but I have them. They're a little browner than I anticipated. I was hoping for more of a brass, but it is what it is. It's done. The color I picked out on the website was more like a new penny, where this is not quite a new penny. And I'm waiting on a tire. So 3 of the tires have this style side, and then this one, I guess, is an older version. It has a different style because it's the same Ironman AT. That's an AT2, it looks like. But anyway, I want them to match before I go through the process of mounting them on the new wheels. So once that gets here this week, we'll get them mounted up, and I'm still waiting on the center caps. The center caps were pretty rough. The guy that did the powder coat's trying to get them cleaned up and smooth. Every time he bakes them, it pops more chrome, so he's just going to take all the chrome off and just powder coat them black. And then I got fancy new black lug nuts to go with it. Finish off the look, and be able to get those mounted up and get it aligned. And once we get all of that done, then we can drive it. It's coming along. Really excited to get this thing on the road. I've already found a nice little park area. It's about 15 minutes from the house. It's got a fishing pond, it's got a trail, it's got a kayak dock. Yeah, perfect shakedown run for this thing. You can run over there, take the dogs, go to the park, have some fun. Not too far from home, but far enough that we got to get out. But you don't have to get on the freeway or anything, so, you know, maximum speed's about 45 speed limit. So perfect little run for this guy to shake it down and see how it goes. And hopefully that'll be next week. I'll go ahead and knock these off the list. So we got valve cover gasket, the oil cap, fuel filter's on its way. Wheels are powder coated. I got lug nuts, I just need the alignment. And the hood hardware and the tailgate is just gonna wait till it's time to go to paint. So I got a brand new set of hood hardware, all of this stuff, and all of the footman's loops and everything on the hood, all brand new black. But there's no point in taking these off to put them on, to take them back off again to paint. So I'm just gonna wait, they work, they're just not pretty. So once we decide to get it to the paint shop, those will be replaced. And I think what I'm going to do is wipe off this list and start a new one. So we've got a lot done. If you can see here, give you a little quick look there. Got a lot done. We got a lot more to do, but most everything else is going to be the visual side of it to kind of mimic that Daisy Duke style Jeep. We want to do tan seats. I want to paint the roll bar white to match. We're going to paint the entire Jeep, of course. I need to find the dash pad. And then just whatever comes along, you know, as things go out, things go bad. It's a 40-year-old vehicle. Things are going to wear out. So as we find those, we'll fix them. But we're really close, really close. All right, once the fuel filter gets here, we'll finish this project up. Wait on the wheels. All right, last piece of this puzzle is here. We got the fuel filter. I'm gonna swap it out real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and open this one up and have a look inside. I wanna see, kind of give me an idea how this fuel system is working. A lot of it is metal hard lines, but there are some rubber lines. And the tank is poly, it's not metal, so I don't think we're gonna get a lot of rust, but I wanna make sure that these fuel lines aren't breaking down. If there's a bunch of black crap in that filter, I know that the fuel lines are breaking down and I need to address that. So we're gonna get this one off and cut it open and see what's up once I get this one put on, and we'll be able to finish this project off. Well, it didn't open up as smooth as I'd hoped. I've got an oil filter cutter that I was gonna use and it's just too big, so I use this guy. But the sidewalls are so thin that you can't even get it in the vise without it just smashing. But, I mean, you can look at the filter element and there's no rust chunks, there's no black chunks, it's just kind of brown. So I feel pretty good about that. It looks like everything's good. I mean, clean. So that's good. No issues with the fuel system. So that's going to finish this one up. So I did also redo the whiteboard here. I got a new tailgate because this one's a little dented up. The hood hardware I explained earlier, we're going to have to go get an alignment once we get the wheels back on because I redid all of the steering and everything in the front. Then the big ones are going to be new seats because we want tan seats, paint and body because there's a few rust spots. I got to find a dash. I may put a fire extinguisher on it just because it looks cool and I built it myself, so I might need it. And then I ordered some cool badges that I'm going to show you guys pretty soon. But other than that, I mean, that's the list until stuff starts breaking. You know, more things will come to light as we drive the thing and more things will get added to the list. But for now, this is going to complete phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be, aside from the alignment, what you see on the list there and more of the beautification stuff, making it look good. But mechanically, I think it's sorted and we can, we can say phase 1 is done. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me here in the garage. If you like this CJ content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get back on the OBS pretty soon. Some more stuff will be coming up with that. We've got some air shocks to install in the back to kind of make it more usable again. I learned that with the 4.6 drop that's on it, you can't put much in the bed or it bottoms out. But that'll be one of the next projects coming up, and then we got some more stuff on this CJ. Really excited to get this thing on the road. I've got to teach the missus how to drive a standard, so that's going to be fun. But for now, we're going to finish this one off. You guys have a good one and rock on.